it's an engineered, a landfill is an engineered process. The treatment of leachate is engineered, and the deep well injection it's an engineered system. So this is, you know, following the rules and regulations of the state of Florida and being followed and watched by the FDP. That doesn't mean we can't watch it too, and that's what I'm saying. I think this is a good meeting to have and keep an eye on how things are moving and progressing. So anyway, typical leachate management, you can recirculate the leachate, evaporate the leachate. Unfortunately, evaporating the leachate means it's going into the air, and that's where some of your odor problems are going on and complaints. They can haul the leachate off, which they have been doing, but they can also, and the last listed here is a deep well injection. And they're disposing of the leachate through injecting into the deep aquifers. So here's prior to 2025, you can see some of the volumes of leachate that has been produced. 12 million gallons of leachate in 2023. Obviously the quantity of leachate varies from year to year, and the reason why that varies is because rainfall varies. Because rainfall is the source of leachate. Leachate starts as rainfall, percolates through the trash and becomes leachate. So leachate handling, the history, some more, they have dates here. It's all listed in the permit. The air permit complaints that have been going on, so they had to surrender the evaporator. So like I said, they had they had put in operation an evaporator where they're basically taking the leachate and trying to enhance evaporation. But obviously that creates more odor issues, and that's where most of the complaints are coming from. And they canceled that permit, they surrendered it, and moving towards another way of handling leachate, which is the deep well injection. Public concerns, all your concerns, all your emails that have been posted on the odor issues, they're all available on download, and you can read them all. There's obviously general concerns about regarding the landfill operations, specific concerns about the accepting waste from South Florida. You know, everyone says, you know, it's not in my backyard, but unfortunately, this is a company and they can, you know, take waste from outside the county. That's not a limitation there. Persistent odor complaints, you know, obviously it's a landfill. There are things that landfill operators can do to minimize odor, but you know, landfills, they don't smell great. And then obviously with the deep well injection recently, there's concerns about that. So just an overview of the injection wells in Florida. Some of these injection wells are actually the same injection well regulations that regulate ASR, aquifer storage and recovery. So that is an injection well. But basically right now they're using a class 5 permit, drilling the well, collecting data, and going to convert that well over to a class 1 for the injection.
When it comes to ASR though, let's talk about desalination injection wells.
No.
Correct. No?
Nope. ASR can be done with stormwater even.
Okay.
Yep. There's a better graphic for the cross section, but this is a view of the well and the well construction. It's a lot larger than your drinking water well. I've got a drinking water well in my backyard. That's a 4-inch steel casing. This is much larger. It's, you know, 5 feet across, but that's only at the surface, and you can see all the gray here. I don't know, do I have a laser pointer? Maybe not. But all the gray is grout. So it's grouted in, very similar to what your drinking water wells are. but it's much, much deeper. Does anyone know how deep your drinking water wells are?
118 feet.
Yeah,
I'm in the aquifer 25 foot.
exactly.
And my
Mine
house-
is about 100 feet,
And I'm
so
50
it's
foot elevation, so.
very shallow.
22 foot. Shallow.
This is over, it's almost 3,000 feet deep. So it's very deep. The blue on the top is a superficial. We have an intermediate aquifer that can be used for drinking water. The fluoride is our primary source. That's our good water for drinking. That's the light blue. The purple is the lower fluoride. That's in our area is kind of questionable. I know in the villages, they're producing some water out of the lower fluoride. But typically, as you get close to the coast, the lower fluoride is salty and not, can't be consumed. This is even below that. So when you hear the word deep well injection, this is deep.
3,000.
3,000 foot.
Exactly. So I think that the depth of the grout there is 2,700 feet, I think it was, 2,800 feet. So it's a very deep well injection. It's below, like I said, the lower fluoride, it's below the upper fluoride, it's below all the drinking water aquifers.
Methane buildup will disrupt the aquifer above it.
Yes, that is correct.
Boom, boom.
I don't know about how methane would be built up in leachate. I don't know if that would be a concern, but obviously we're collecting data. Let's keep an eye on that. So here's the injection wells, like I had mentioned and has been discussed. It's currently right now a class 5 disposal, a permit that they're working under. They'll be using it. They are constructing it as we speak. So as they construct and continue to complete that well, then they'll be collecting data from it. They'll be ensuring that the well is secure, that it is lined properly and separate from the drinking water. And that's all part of the testing process as they convert it to a class 1. We have plenty of class 1s, and actually the screen is, you can download it off the FDP website. They have a online image. There's actually more wells that aren't shown here. You just gotta zoom in. So there's plenty of injection wells.
How many injection wells are there in one injection wells in the state of Florida, sir?
Sorry?
How many, number one, injection, class 1, how many are there in the state of Florida?
Thousands,
Is there?
yeah. What used for leachate, unfortunately, I was having difficulty in searching the database specifically for leachate wells. But they don't have them classified specifically for the types of material that's being pumped in. But it's probably on the order of hundreds.
Is this biochemical as well?
I mean,
Is it biochemical?
it's leachate, so it's whatever's in your landfill.
Yeah.
Biochemical.
Right.
The stuff that's in the landfill, like the gentleman from Citrus County.
Thank you, sir.
Said how, yeah, it's chemical.
So the permit requirements, it is an exploratory well. It's a step towards the class 1 permit for operations. Right now, it's not currently being operated.
It will be,
Well,
though.
they're currently constructing
Okay.
the well, but once they collect all the data and have the well permit for the class 1, it will be used as an injection well. Here's the companies involved. JMG was involved in one not too far from my house. I live in Pasco County, not too far south of here. And they have a leachate well in our landfill.
And it's down that far, I guess, it goes way down below the aquifer.
Way down. By law, it has to be below the drinking water source.
So it goes through the drinking water source.
It does, but they're grouted.
Okay, so they won't nothing's gonna happen because they're grounded.
As long as everything is done correctly, it will not leak, right?
For how long?
Well, this well is actually fairly unique because most of the casing is steel in Florida. But I noticed this well, the final liner is actually a fiberglass. So, if there is any caustic material in the leachate, that final casing, is non-corrosive. So they're protected as far as that's concerned. You know, so it's a good step they had taken, protecting any kind of leaking. Yes?
Are you as well associated with DEP?
No, I'm a private consulting firm. I do most of my work with the districts and water authorities.
Okay.
So I'm not,
I know in 2018, this was not approved for the side of Sumter County, that it was opposed, and they said that it wasn't good enough for Sumter County. And this was in 2018. I just don't understand how that they can change their mind.
I don't know that
Wasn't that
information.
very many
They've been
years ago,
accepting-
sir.
They've been accepting waste since 2013.
It was
If
Sumter
there was
County.
anything going wrong, the DEP can shut them down.
I
Okay?
hope so, sir. I really do.
Yep. I mean, we have to trust the DEP to do their job.
I hope so, sir.
And if they follow what they're supposed to be doing, they would shut down an operation that was illegal. Try to, as a private landowner, try putting up a structure on your property.
Yes,
And
sir.
you'll see how fast.
It's hard now.
The building department come down on you, so. So anyway, here's the injection well name. They have a monitoring well, a monitor well that is being constructed at the same time that the injection well is being constructed. And they need to have that monitoring well because they're gonna be sampling, as they move to that class 1 permit. They'll be making sure that there is no leakage between the injection well and the monitoring well. The monitor well is located much shallower in the upper Florida, and that's where our drinking water is, and that's what they're going to ensure to protect. I did note that the monitor well is downstream of the injection well, and it's in the direction towards the west coast, the Withlacoochee Regional, that well that's located to the south, or sorry, to the northwest. So here's the design schematic. Like I mentioned before, there's multiple casings. In between each casing is grouted, so they drill, basically the way they drill it, they go for that large casing on the outside first. They drill it, they grout it, then they go with a smaller auger and they drill through the bottom of the grout and continue down, putting in a smaller casing, and they keep on doing that. And you can see there's many layers of casing, and that's keeping each aquifer separate. So as they go through an aquifer, they seal it off and continue down to the next aquifer, and that's why there's so many casings there. Each aquifer has to be kept separate in current standards now. I know there's lots of wells out there that have cross-connected aquifers, but now in today's standards, each aquifer that you penetrate has to be kept separate and grouted in separately. So they are actually further on. I'll go into where they're looking at deep wells and worried about cross connection. So here's the casing plan. You can see there's 5 concentric casings. They have all the dimensions, all the thicknesses, and as well as the total depth. And you can see here the 7-inch diameter red box FRP tubing, and that's the fiberglass reinforced. That's that final casing, and like I said, caustic material wouldn't be a problem for it. Hydrologic prerequisites of a class 1 well. As I mentioned, The blue is all the underground source drinking water. That's our Floridan and Upper Floridan and Lower Floridan. And this class 1 well is below all that. So when you see the term deep, it's very deep. So the injection zone is really below what is potable. And that's done by design. Engineering, the requirements are the deep well injection has to be below and kept separate from our drinking source. Within the permit, they did a calculation of the radius of influence. This is a very, I don't know, in my opinion, it's a little on the crude side. They have a lot of assumptions. They're assuming 10-year operation, they're assuming a constant daily inflows, but it's an analytical approach. And an analytical approach is a simple engineering analysis. They did not use a hydrogeologic model like ModFlow, which I would like to see done, and particle tracks to see, where material would
Where it's
go
going.
eventually. This assumes uniform hydrogeology and assumes that the well will be perfect and operate radially. But in reality, there's an underground current, and so it won't be a perfect radius. It'll be this egg-shaped plume, if you will. Some of the leachate produced, again, this is a table from the permit. You can see it's sometimes up to 1 million gallons in a particular month. So it's a lot of water we're dealing with. It's Florida, it's rainy. We have a lot of rainwater, and they have a lot of leachate from that. So here's the area of review that's in the permit. The area of review uses that radius that they mentioned. They didn't use just the well, they actually used the entire landfill site. So it's a larger area than they needed to go, so that's a good thing. But they're identifying all the existing wells within this area of review. And you can see here, all the permits from all the wells are readily available in databases. And within that area of review, each well can be evaluated individually. Many of these wells are very shallow. Many of these wells are probably non-existent anymore, but they're still in the database as a well. They have to ensure that the wells were capped and plugged properly. There's a lot of older wells, old permits, where the farmer has moved and the well was abandoned and never properly capped and plugged. So they need to go and ensure that all the wells are capped, especially for these wells. These are the deep wells within the area of review. And these are the existing wells with a depth of greater than 300 feet. Only one well had a depth of 970 feet. So you can see how deep we are. In the injection zone is 2,700 feet, very deep compared to the one well that's in this area at 1,000 feet. So this is 3 times deeper than the deepest well. And they're basically identified all these wells to make sure that there's not going to be cross-contamination between the lower layers to the upper layers.
Who would check and plug those abandoned wells? Did you say somebody was gonna check them here?
Ultimately, the district can do that. The district does have an abandoned well plugging program, and if you have any wells on your property, you can have it plugged. It does cost money, but the district does do a cost share, and if it wasn't your well, they'll do things with helping you plug it.
Cause if that injection well leak, if something did happen in the injection, if it leaked, it would contaminate all those wells, correct? And come up through the
Yeah.
guacamole,
Yes, so remember, there's,
pop up.
I don't know if I can go back. No, I can't. Can I go back? Okay, I got back. So remember, here's the well. All those upper layers of blue, that's drinking water. And we're way deeper than that. That last blue is where the injection is. There's a very large, thick, confining layer that would have to be.
I appreciate that, but I've seen the studies where those fail and they leak. It's also in the Oculus in the free records.
I understood,
It's great on paper, but when it leaks.
these are not,
bad.
so the confinement, is not perfect. It's a geologic formation. It's usually a lot of clays and silts that geologically speaking, when Florida was being formed, it was sediments that came washing down from Georgia. And some of those sediments made these layers. This layer, this confinement is a lot thicker than the confinement that you're talking about. The confinement, that most wells are dealing with is between the intermediate and the Floridan. If we're drinking the upper Floridan, that's where most of our drinking water wells are located. And the leakiness is coming from the intermediate and between the intermediate and the upper Floridan. This well is much deeper than all those.
So you're saying, okay,
Okay,
we're below both of our layers.
we're below both the layers as well as the lower Floridan. Like I said, the lower Floridan, there is some production in the lower Floridan in the villages, but it's very little. And the reason why there's so little use out of the lower Floridan is because it gets salty, especially as you get closer to the coast. So it's even below the lower Floridan. So
So can
there
you
are many
guarantee-
layers.
Can you guarantee this will never leak?
Is there any guarantee that's perfect? No, I mean, but it's,
If you can't guarantee it, then it shouldn't be done.
I wouldn't say that. There's,
I mean, that's your
Okay,
truth.
okay.
And then we have our truth. We're gonna listen with our eyes and ears and see what's in front of us.
let's
But
pretend.
we have our truth versus what you're being told and what you've been educated to tell us.
Let's pretend we're engineers building a truck. Can you guarantee that the brakes in that truck will never, ever fail, ever?
No, but does that
No.
one truck have millions of people depending on it, on those brakes to work?
Yes, but this is multiple trucks in between, so,
I believe the argument is with the limestone and the dolomite underground and how the caustic nature of this waste fluid will affect the limestone. And if it dissolves or, in any way affects the stability of that confined aquifer layer, then the science, that's being presented before us
Very
needs to
good.
be
So
called
monitor
into
it.
question.
so monitor it.
We wouldn't need a monitoring system if we didn't have the injection well in
We
the
would
first
have
place.
to
You
stop
wouldn't
that
need a monitoring system if you didn't have landfills.
before it happens,
That's correct.
rather than after the fact.
You know, we need landfills.
But this landfill's taking in 4,800 tons a week from other areas. The root of the problem, we wouldn't need any of this if commissioners and city council members would put in a moratorium on residential building and let our infrastructure catch up. Then we might have somewhere for our landfills to actually go and for all the garbage to go somewhere else. We wouldn't have to do any of this if.
Mr. Justice, can we stay on topic?
Yeah,
Can you
let's stay on
can you
topic.
put our infrastructure first instead of developers?
Can we stay on topic, please? The topic today is this injection well.
About the geology, right, of the area, the karst geology, this area, I don't even wanna go back to all the landfills, right? There wasn't a whole lot in that central, I saw like one or two, right, but in that area where it's the karst geology, where we have more sinkholes and things like that, I think that would be the fear, not so much of it leaking up, but like all those casings, right? Like, of course you can't guarantee that there's not gonna be a sinkhole, and I completely understand what you're saying. But I think that would be some of the fears, like, yes, I understand the concept of having all of that casing around there, but if there's a sinkhole, right, like, that's gonna compromise all of that, and then it doesn't really matter if it's fiberglass or you've got all these layers or not. So that would be one of the concerns that I have is like the geological
This is deeper than any sinkhole.
Okay, but, right, but like sinkholes at the top, like, let's say that one's happened, like, who's to say, right?
No,
But
I
if
understand what you're
one happens,
saying.
like, right by the top of the well, and you compromise the casings that you put in there, then you are leaking into some of these upper areas that our wells are in. And you can't guarantee that, and I understand that there has to be a system to deal with this, and that's kinda why I talked about, you know, alternative energy resources, things like that. But geologically wise, this area, from what I've seen from the data, is not ideal.
Well, this board has said that
Right.
that area of Suffolk County is an at-risk area for the aquifer.
Because of the way that all the springs are right there in Lake Passaic, the way that it feeds all the way, you can go, if you were to take a canoe, you could go from my house all the way out to the Gulf,
No, yeah.
okay? So
Been
it's
on it,
not
yep.
it's not just our confined area. If at any point, like you said, when you're going through, if I interpreted it correctly, as you're going through, every level that you hit has to be dealt with, sealed off again. So, to me, I see that like a heart surgery, that at every realm of it, it becomes a different, criteria going down through.
I mean, using
until
that
you get
same
where you're going.
criteria.
So it's a different danger.
Using that same criteria, pretty much, there is no place in Florida for a landfill, right?
That's really not.
I mean, yes,
But if-
it goes in the,
okay.
not in my backyard, blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah. Not-
Yeah,
you're
all of
correct.
Florida is not a perfect location for a landfill.
You are
We need-
correct.
We need to have landfills.
You're correct, we
We're
need
gonna-
landfills,
we're
and we
gonna
need a way to
stop
get
it.
rid of it, but it doesn't need to be compromising our aquifer, the way to get rid of it.
So to keep on focus, and I
Yes, please,
appreciate
let's
that.
continue with the presentation.
This landfill has already been permitted and it's in progress.
So and the accountability of the
The
permitting was
well is in
from,
permitted and it's in progress.
okay,
I think what we need to do as citizens, as the agency, the authority, is to keep an eye on it and make sure, inform ourselves and make sure that these things are progressing and being constructed properly and monitored. Future monitoring. We could even install monitoring wells between this landfill and the next potable supply, infrastructure. Keep ourselves safe, monitor it and check for leakage. Really, that's what we would do. There's nothing wrong
Who
with
does
that.
that? Who's in charge of that?
You could get with a DEP, you can get with, the Southwest Florida, the water management districts. So,
I'd like to ask you something, sir.
sure.
Being you're an engineer as well, what do you think about this being injected into the water? Is it going to increase red tide? Imagine that, all around Crystal River, it's fixing to come out, buddy. It's gotta come out somewhere, does it not?
Yeah.
Red
Let's
tide.
look at, if you were to look at the travel time, it would probably take several hundred years.
No,
B, remember, this is deep. This is deeper than Crystal River. It would actually go under the river and into the Gulf before it would get into
it's
the
gonna
river.
come up and go up on the sides, that's how red tide comes in on the coastal, sir.
As far as red tide is concerned, that's a Mississippi River thing. That's
Okay,
way bigger.
all right, I
than-
just wanted your opinion, thank you, sir.
It's way bigger than what we're talking about here. Casing plan, radius of influence. This is the volume of leachate they're dealing with. Area review, there's the wells. These are just the deep wells. There's probably about 10 of them, that they're, gonna do additional data collection and research in. Here's the Floridan aquifer. It is a thick aquifer. And the base of the Floridan is roughly 2,000 feet below land surface. And this well is 2,700 feet. So we're way deeper than the well. As far as leakage is concerned, you got 700 feet of clays that you would have to percolate through. That's very different compared to the thickness of the aquifer confinement between the upper floor and the intermediate, which might be 100 feet. So this is, several hundred, multiple times thicker than that.
But it still has a chance of leaking, and you can't guarantee it won't.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just like you can't guarantee your brakes will work, unfortunately, that's what we're here though, as engineers, is we engineer to make sure that the risk of failure is very, very small. And that's how an engineer works.
And this is not against you, I believe that you're a great engineer.
Appreciate
I
that.
believe that your presentation is on point and that it's exact. I just also believe that where it is being implemented is very, very dangerous to not, because where it's being implemented at isn't a county issue. This is not gonna have county lines and county barriers.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I just believe where it's gonna be put, yes, there's thousands around, but where it's gonna be put right there, I just believe that it's, where it's being implemented at is, a dangerous place for it to be.
The potential for spread
Yes.
affects millions of people,
Yes.
if something were to happen, which she's saying.
It's putting way too many people in danger, this particular one. And I believe that you've done your due diligence, I believe that you've done a great job.
I did not engineer any of this, I'm just telling you the data, that's all I'm doing. So, here's, again, the information, it's very deep. It's below, very, much below the underground source of drinking water, that's the USDW. The potentiometric surface, here is a map of that. That vector, you can barely see the black vector there, shows the principal direction of flow. It is to the northwest, towards the authority's drinking water well. So I mean, that should be a component of the analysis, because as far as your particle tracks, where the water is going, how long it's gonna take to get there, it is all, can be analyzed. Here's again some more transects. This is looking at the aquifer, on its side, looking at it. All the thicknesses, you can see some of the aquifers are not continuous. We already know that's PZ1, PZ2. Those are not continuous, and those are areas where, the aquifers do exchange water. We are way deeper than that, and like I said, there's a very thick zone of clays confinement. So it's as far as that's concerned, the confinement keeps the leachate water separate from going up into the drinking water.
I have a question. Tampa Bay Water, I attend most of the meetings at Tampa Bay Water, and through the aquifer recover storage wells injection, they're finding an elevated level of what they call total organic carbons
TOC.
as a result of the anaerobic decomposition of particulars within the water that's being placed underground. That's already indica of potential problems in the making. So for us to
That's
and
for the
explore-
operator to worry about, because what's gonna happen if you were to inject water into a well, it'll slowly plug up. And that's what the organic compounds would do. It would slowly plug up your well. The landfill company is spending millions and millions of dollars for this well. And they are going to want to protect that well, just like we would want to protect our engine. We put an air filter on to keep dirt from going down the well. They're gonna wanna keep all the solids and big stuff out of their well, because it will eventually clog, with material.
To compound
So-
the problem, Aaron Brockovich frequently talks about PFOAs, chloridane, DDT, mercury, which was not on the list, presented to us today. All of that being injected, or the mixing of various chemicals, creating another compound all on its own,
Sure.
is why we call into question even the thought of an exploratory well as being, once it's down there, we can't get it out. It's as though you're leaving the door open for a thief, knowing that that thief is standing in your front driveway. We can't allow that to take place, being at Kings Bay, Homosassa Springs is some of the most pristine watersheds that the world has to offer. Our objection to this exploratory well is grounded in the fact that Wall Springs is already showing signs of serious groundwater contamination as submitted in my report.
This is deeper than any of that. So all the springs and, because I've worked on springs throughout the state of Florida, all those springs, the depth of the caverns, the depth of the aquifer that they're coming from is 1,000 feet, and we're 3,000 feet deep.
But if you hit gas, you're on.
And
Not
we're
that
all
big.
in trouble.
So again, here's more cross sections.
Really sorry.
You can see there's some layers that are not continuous, but we're way deeper than all those, and it's got a very thick confinement in the zone where the leachate is gonna go is, like I said, it's deeper. It's not even drinking water. If you were to pump water out of that zone, you wouldn't be able to drink it. It's already too salty. It already has too much minerals. It's very deep.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Geology wise, that far down, what is it made of? Is it open? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand all that geology down there.
It's a.
Is it like,
It's a bunch of, there's a boulder zone down there. It's rock.
it's got rock and water, it's
Yeah.
fluid, so it is fluid?
I mean, there's rock and sand rock and you know, sandstone. So there's water in it.
It's gonna, okay.
Yep. But it's basically just rock. And again, it's deeper than any of the underground drinking sources. So here's the approved site. As you've heard, they've already constructed, and they're not complete, but they are continuing to drill. Potential problems, and that's what I think we're here to ensure that and protect ourselves from, is to make sure that they're constructing it properly, make sure inspections are done properly. Any construction failures, you know, there's possibility that you know, the well would not be grouted properly. But as long as, you know, someone's inspecting it and making sure that the quantities of drilling, grout is being followed and reported, that's how we ensure ourselves from failures.
And who takes care of that? DEP?
DEP.
I mean, is there somebody on site when they're doing
The
everything?
district, southwest, the district is involved in this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But they have an
I was about to say, wow.
No, there was.
And all the data's available, we can download it ourselves and review it ourselves too, so.
Okay.
But yeah,
Question for you, sir.
Yes.
At what pressure is this being injected? I mean, obviously, it's gotta be pressurized to move it down.
Sure.
And you're trying to inject a liquid into a porous porous rock, so there's gotta be some pressure. What kind of pressure are we talking about? Are we talking about 1,000 pounds per square inch? Based on your past experience, I know you can't say exactly for this well.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, they'll be monitoring that, as part of their operations, and make sure that their pressures are not going to exceed, what the casing capacities are. And that's also an indication on fouling, as they move forward. I know the district was involved in a disposal. It wasn't of leachate, but it's Flatford Swamp down south, and they're disposing of the surface water in the aquifer, and they do have pressure issues, and they have to monitor them closely.
Do you have any idea of what
I
kind of pressure?
don't know what the pressure operating. I don't even think they know at this point what the operating pressures would be yet.
Cause that's something that might come out in the exploratory data. Okay.
And they'll have an operating guidelines where they need to stay within. But, you know, when it gets to the permitting phase, that's when they'll announce that. Unexpected hydrogeology issues, you know, we have to make sure that, you know, as they're drilling this, they're recording, the rock that they're drilling through, and they should note, any faults and fissures that they come across. But again, it's gonna be through a very thick, confinement by the time they go through their, disposal zone. Water quality problems, you know, obviously there's, you know, fouling that can go on as the, you know, we're not at this stage yet, but as they move towards operations, you know, as they, start pumping and disposing of waste down there, that is gonna become an issue. But it's gonna be more of a concern for them because their multi-million-dollar well is useless, if too much material gets stuck, and foul their well. Excessive flows or pressures. Obviously the well will be designed to, for a certain quantity of water. If we have an extreme rain event, they will potentially have issues. They'll have to store the water somewhere, because during extreme events, their system can be overwhelmed. And so they'll have to store their leachate somewhere while they continue to pump it down. It's not sized enough to handle an extreme rain event.
So are they doing that now? I mean, they're already storing it
They're
now
already
and hauling
storing
it
it.
off. So they've already got the potential to do that.
Sure.
So we don't have to,
mean-
theoretically, we don't have to worry about that.
Right, but you should monitor it, you can keep an eye on it as concerned citizens, make sure that facility is not leaking. Yep.
Already leaking.
This is moving on well into the future, but, typically these wells have bonds and, you know, they should have the money put away in the bank for, proper, abandonment. If the landfill goes out of business and, you know, it fails, it could fall back on that bond, but ultimately the district would be involved in properly abandoning cabin.
Don't shake up, tell them that's in a can.
I think this is many decades down in the future, because the landfill has many years of operation that's looking into. So here's the steps. We all know that the ultimate plan is for a class 1 well, but right now they're constructing the well as a class 5. They're doing some exploratory. They're gonna make sure that the site is appropriate. to receive water and do the ultimate design of that class one as far as how much water, what are the pressures, so on and so forth. They'll have to do a pump test, to make sure that, very similar to a production well, see what kind of transmissivity they get and how much, quantity of water that they can, inject down into the well. But it's all gonna be very site specific, and that's why, that's why this process is done, first as a class 5 and then move into a class 1, because it's all in the inspection phase. Collecting the data, collecting, performance, and, moving forward. And then the operation, continuous monitoring, they'll have to monitor flow, they'll have to monitor pressures, as well as, the monitoring wells, other sites, to ensure that the systems are leaking, to ensure that any, increase or decrease in water chemistries are noted. Like I said, we're here to protect our water resource. So it's a monitor and track, and I think, the authority can do that as well. Because ultimately, we are, here to protect our water resource and should have, oversight and to ensure that process is happening and ensure that, all permitting stipulations are being followed and get a copy of the reports and review them from time to time. I did note, wellhead protection studies. Here's the wellhead protection zones for Sumter County. This is a county product. All counties produce a wellhead protection, zone where regulation controls, development. And, I noted that Sumter County, did not do anything advanced, and all they did was fall back on the FDUP's minimum requirement, which is a 500-foot, zone around each well. And, that's the minimum requirement. It's minimally protective, and, I think better work can be done in this area. We have models. I've done, a similar study here is a product we did for, Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County did a wellhead protection study, and it was a true study. So, we developed a model and developed, we had mod flow models and mod path models.
Sir, just a quick question. When you say wellhead protection zone, what exactly does that mean?
So these little traces, you can see it's a little blob of blue, but it's actually individual particle tracks. And what it does is we run the model backwards in time, and we simulate those particles as it moves towards the well and into the well. We actually run it backwards and see how far that particle goes backwards in time.
I think what he's asking is that within that area, you can't put a gas station or a dry cleaner or anything that might contaminate the aquifer in that zone.
Okay. So it's a tool that the county uses to regulate development. That's what the wellhead protection zone is. So, like Suzanne said, the county will regulate within that area. Okay, you're within the zone, we're not gonna, permit your gas station, or a dry cleaner.
Or a landfill injection.
Or a landfill injection, exactly. So, doing a full-on study, and you can see here, I highlighted the 500-foot buffer. So the 500-foot is a buffer prescribed by the DEP, but it's the minimum buffer. It's the minimum zone of protection. And you can see here in this Hillsborough County study, some of those zones, the 10-year travel paths, went well outside of the 500-foot zone. I think that it would behoove the counties, and you should, as the authority, protect water, should push your member counties, to develop, better studies, to protect our water. And it has to be done by the county, because the county is the ones that are doing, the land use, permitting, permitting of gas stations and dry cleaners. And they would be the first line of defense for protecting the water resources.
How does that work for springs?
The same thing can be done for a spring.
I mean, does.
A spring
there
is
multiple
basically,
springs?
a spring is basically a big well, if you
Well,
think about it.
I can tell you right now,
We do studies
there's a
for.
spring right off the interstate at Pennsauken. You know what I'm talking about? The one that you
Ponds
go
and
on,
springs.
right before you get to the bridge.
The ponds are all springs. That
Go
was
back
my
and you're
in-laws
right.
property.
Can we have one person talk at a time, please?
I know there's a
appreciate the
spring
gentleman taking
within
the
500 foot of a
question.
gas station, I know it is. I mean, you can hear the road, you can hear anybody on 470 from that spring.
Yep.
They were gonna come pull water from it, and it got denied, I think they pumped water off of it.
Hmm.
We're gonna pull bottled water off of it.
Oh, okay, that spring, okay.
Across the dump, there is 2 springs on that property, on ponds. Plus, there is 4 springs on that creek before you get to I-75. There's another one on I-75. There's 3 of them in Little Jones, there's 2 of them, plus the other one way up in Wildwood. I know that whole river,
And these springs can
and
be
they don't flow
monitored.
like they used to, sir.
Well, that's kind of a totally separate
That's because
conversation.
of the mine pits, I know what it's all about. They're the
Water
ones that
consumption,
clog the fingers
it's
that
a
feed
million
it.
things. But those springs can be, if they're large enough, you can ask the district to start sampling them, especially with concerns of the landfill and injection site. Then maybe we can start
We can do
sampling those
that?
springs to say,
Let me ask you something else. Is there an organization that monitors the mine pits on depth?
yeah,
There is?
yeah. Your land management would.
Okay.
would-
I was just curious, because when they bring stuff up, buckets, it's clogging the cavities that's feeding the mine. All the little fingers, they're getting clogged. Shady Brook used to boil, it don't even boil no more, it trickles out of a wall.
A lot of that is also from just consumption in the area.
Yes, sir.
You know, we're consuming.
You've been an
water.
honest man, and I appreciate that,
Very
sir.
informative.
Thank you.
We need the resources because we're being ignored on all of this.
Mhm.
So I appreciate
We're
what you're
doing
doing.
that. We're buying,
But we
but we
have
appreciate
been,
it.
ignored by everybody that works for Sumter County.
Patrick, can we continue on?
Yes, sure. I mean, really, sorry. I'm just pushing as far as recommendations, making sure, our water resources are protected. The wellhead protection zones are developed. Again, it's not part of your process, and just make sure, it's clear with everyone that you're just the water supply authority, but you can push your member governments to do something like that. Data collection, again, sampling wells for water quality. It's all data, and data is good, and that's what informs engineering decisions to be done properly, as we move forward.
All right, thank you. Mr. Campbell, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, this has been a good conversation. Thank you for bringing this to the board. As far as I can recall, this is the first time I've heard of this as well, like Commissioner Kennard. But it sounds to me like the ship has sailed, hearing you speak, that it's almost like they're gonna get the permit. It doesn't mean we shouldn't still, advocate for our interests. And thank you to everybody that showed up today to do just that. Your interest and the interest of your neighbors, that's what's important here. To say this is concerning is a gross understatement. It baffles me sometimes. We're spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in Hernando County to go from septic to sewer. You know, and I heard you say it, and I get it, and I understand it, you know, that this is way deeper than that. This is way deeper than that. I understand all that, but it sounds counterproductive. And it sounds like, you know, what your grandfather used to say, you know, do what I say, not what I do, kind of deal. I get that feeling, and I think that's where a lot of the passion comes from the residents, and rightfully so. You know, this doesn't sit right with me, just like Iowa solid land spreading doesn't sit right with me, you know? And we have that going on in Hernando County, where there's companies, transporting human waste, you know, they call it biosolid, but it's human waste from other counties and dumping it in Hernando County and spreading it next to schools. You know, it's a whole nother thing, you know, but this makes me feel the same way about it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And to say, you know, this whole nitrate argument with the septic tanks and all of this stuff, it's almost contrary to this argument, because they tell us, oh, it'll make it to the rivers, it'll make it to the Gulf, it'll make it to your waterways, and this is saying, oh, we're all gonna be gone. Well, that doesn't change how we should feel about it, you know? So I think as far as the wellhead protection zones, I think that is something. Hernando County, we just updated ours, so we're all over that. Now I would clarify one thing, and I'm not an expert at this. I'm not confident that, and maybe every county has different rules and regulations, but when I asked a question when we were redoing ours, I said, hey, you know, what can go and what can't go? And they said, well, yeah, the technology with the gas stations have come, and the tanks specifically have come so far that they are allowed, but I can't, you know, again, I'm not an expert, but I just wanted to just put that out there, that just in case somebody heard that and says, oh, you can't build a gas station in a, you know, in a wellhead protection area, that might not be true. So I just wanna put that out there, and I know you weren't intending to.
Every county's different.
Yeah, I know you weren't intending to mislead in any way, shape, or form. I happen to be the current chair of the Hernando County Board of County Commission. I will bring this to our board because this is our interest as well. And I appreciate it being brought here. We're all neighbors, we're all in this together, and we're all have a responsibility to protect our water. You know, it's a public safety concern, if you ask me, and that's priority number one for my job and the job of every commissioner sitting in that capacity. So I appreciate you bringing this. Outside of advocating and outside of all the things Commissioner Kennard has already mentioned about, you know, getting with our partners in the state, at the state level, you know, what else can be done? Can anything be done to prevent them moving forward on this?
Finding out about what's going on is the hardest part. Because a lot of these permits, you know, even land use changes, you can see the little sign is required, oh, I'm changing my land use. And as you're driving down the interstate at 75 miles an hour, you see that little sign, you're gonna read it. But I mean, that's how they disseminate what's going on. And this is 90% of it. Now we know, now we can check the portal for the permitting and learn, keep an eye on, keep abreast of the data that we collect. It's all gonna be published. They can't keep it secret. But even though they're publishing it, we should keep eyes on it. And the residents need to keep eyes on it too.
Well, we just wanna live our lives. We don't wanna have to do any of this, that's why we're here.
All right, well then you can rely on the authorities.
Well, we should be relying on our elected officials to be the first line of defense against the FDEP and say, no, we don't want this. We weren't even given a choice about this, we're told.
Can I please comment on that, because I can shed some direct light on that permit, if you don't mind. Actually, the way, because the permit, they have a permit, it was approved in March of 2025. the way this all come about was I was in there looking in the records because of the odor I was experiencing at my home, 3.3 miles away, affecting my quality of life. So in looking at those records, I found this about this injection, nothing about it, didn't know anything about it. It was published in the paper and it was passed. I submitted all the evidence, that little thing that goes in the back of the paper, they're supposed to publish it in the county that it's gonna go in. They published it in I've got the proof, they published it in 6 papers. The only one they published in was a daily commercial. They didn't use any of the Sumter County papers. As far as the DEP, I have contact with them. I'm not an attorney, but I question the county and the city when it come about. Can't you use that as anything to stop this? Because they did not properly advertise to the county. As far as DEP was concerned, and that's even in writing, it was up in Luke as far as, honestly, if an attorney looked at it, I don't think they met the burden of proof. But that going forward, they already had the permit. Then they put in, the only reason we were allowed to say anything after that was because they put in, Heart of Florida Landfill put in I'm sorry, I'm not staying, but I have a bad foot. Heart of Florida Landfill put in they want to do a modification on it, cheaper to them, to lower their cost on what they were doing with this injection well. To do that, they would have to advertise another public meeting, and that's when the public, I done advertised everybody I could to try to get people involved on what was going on, because nobody knows anything about it. Because it drew such attention, they pulled that application because they knew the public was gonna do a public outcry, and they went forward with their already approved permit from March instead of modifying it. Now, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, once this injection well passes the testing that they do, then we will have another chance at an opportunity. That's why a meeting was denied with DEP. County reached out, city reached out to have a meeting with DEP to explain this injection well with us. They said there was no point because we can't do anything until they get it passed, but when they go to approve this for a class 1 injection well, that is when there will be a public, which every county, neighbor, friend, family, we all need to get together and stop this. Because it does not just affect, this is our future generation, our water, our kids. And the biggest problem with this that everybody needs to realize, go in that Oculus, because that's where I got educated on what's going wrong out there. And DEP is not, their benzene has been exceeding for 3 years. 3 years, their benzene has been exceeding, and DEP has done nothing. So as far as testing, reporting, and data, and keep it in check, that's not gonna happen. They're already doing the wrong, and nobody's doing anything.
No, except these people. Everybody that's here has been reporting this. They've contacted FDEP, they asked the city to pull the permit. The city almost revoked the permit to the landfill, which they have the power to do.
And we're not here to talk about
okay, you don't wanna hear what I have to say. Because Sumter County could have revoked the permit too. Because all they have to show is under statute
You need to stop right now or you're gonna be removed from this meeting.
Remove me. Under statute 823-01, the landfill is a nuisance, and it should have already been, the permit should have already been revoked. But you and Sumter County have done nothing. Bushville has done nothing either. There's more than enough to sue them, remove the operating permit, and remove
Enough, please.
this well from happening. Okay.
But here, it's
Mr. Chair.
all about the water and the water authority. That's what this meeting's about.
Yeah.
So I think what he's saying is the land use, the landfill permit is not under these people's purview.
Right.
Okay? It's only the water permitting and the authority.
The FDEP has it.
Mr. Sarah,
Exactly.
if you go back to step 2, it has the highlighted public comment on it. No, forward.
Sorry?
Forward to step 2.
Oh, there it is. Yep, public comment.
There was.
So I mean, we will have, when you said it was a done deal, the construction of the well is a done deal. They're already halfway done, more than halfway. But as far as the conversion to the class 1, that is not a done deal. Matter of fact, they still have to go through a full permitting process. It's all about data collection now. Now that they have the hole in the ground, they gotta do testing, they gotta do transitivity testing, they gotta do pressure testing. And it's a whole new permitting process. And that's where, yes, we'll have the opportunity to do comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Conrad.
Thank you. One quick question. You had said the area down there at 2,400 feet, 3,000 feet, that there's a current there.
It's moving towards the Gulf.
Okay, where does it come out at? There's gotta be an end part to it somewhere.
Well, for one, there's very little data down there. Okay, so I showed a pot surface map and I didn't get into, the details of it.